In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on October 12, 2024, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Penn State versus Southern California. The USC Trojans are set to host the Penn State Nittany Lions in a much-anticipated Big Ten clash at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum on Saturday afternoon. This marks the first official Big Ten contest between these newly minted conference rivals. However, they do have a bit of history, as they previously faced off in a memorable 2017 bowl game where the Trojans eked out a thrilling 52-49 victory. Heading into this matchup, Penn State remains undefeated at 5-0, while USC holds a 3-2 record. The long journey across the country may pose a significant challenge for the Nittany Lions, but this game is expected to draw significant attention from fans despite the crowded weekend schedule. It's definitely a must-watch. Last week, I had high hopes for Minnesota's chances to keep their matchup against USC close, as the Trojans were in the midst of a grueling stretch of travel. The Gophers not only covered the spread but went on to win the game with a last-minute touchdown. Now, with USC returning to home turf after yet another cross-country trek, they'll face a well-rested Penn State team that presents a difficult challenge for Lincoln Riley's squad. Penn State's mix of physicality and well-rounded gameplay could spell trouble for a USC team still trying to find its rhythm. A key factor for Penn State's success, much like in their games against Michigan and Minnesota, is their ability to dominate in the trenches. USC has struggled with significant issues on the offensive line, particularly at the tackle positions, which is not ideal when facing Tom Allen's tough, physical defense. Penn State boasts one of the best defensive lines in college football, so it's likely that USC quarterback Miller Moss will find himself under heavy pressure throughout the game. Expect him to take some big hits, which could rush his decision-making and potentially lead to costly turnovers. This spells trouble for a USC offense that has consistently struggled to get going in their last few outings. On the offensive side for Penn State, they should have no problem controlling the tempo of the game with their ground attack. Running backs Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen are both averaging more than 5 yards per carry, and they'll face a USC defense that ranks poorly in several key metrics, including 98th in success rate and 100th in expected points added per rush allowed. Meanwhile, quarterback Drew Aller has shown significant improvement under the guidance of offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki, helping the Nittany Lions rank highly in multiple offensive categories. Ultimately, the betting market seems to have overvalued USC based on a couple of early season victories that, in hindsight, don't seem as impressive. It wouldn't be surprising if the line moves closer to Penn State being favored by 6 points as kickoff approaches, so there's value in the current odds. This is a tough travel spot for the Trojans, and I'm fully on board with backing Penn State in this game. Although Penn State has had moments where they underperform, I don't think this is one of those games. USC's inconsistency on offense makes them vulnerable, and I believe Penn State wins this matchup by a touchdown, covering the spread as the favorites. So, the Penn State Nittany Lions to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Penn State excels at controlling the flow of the game, and their style tends to result in low-scoring affairs. Their defense is among the best in the nation, and they should be able to slow down USC's offense, limiting their ability to connect on big passing plays. When USC faced Michigan, they were forced into long, methodical drives, and Penn State's defense will likely create even more difficulties for them. Offensively, Penn State will focus on a run-first approach to control the clock, leading to fewer possessions and, consequently, fewer scoring opportunities. The under has been a winning bet in Penn State's last few games, and it seems likely to hit again this weekend. Both teams have been strong defensively on third downs and in the red zone. Penn State's ground game will likely play a crucial role, as USC has struggled to contain the run, and Penn State will look to wear down the Trojan defense. Additionally, Penn State's pass defense has been stellar, and their pass rush has caused plenty of disruption in opponents' backfields. With Penn State likely to lean heavily on the ground game and drain the clock, they should be able to limit USC's explosive plays. Given all these factors, we're predicting that the total score will stay under the projected total, making under the projected total our full game total pick. Mississippi State versus Georgia. The Southeastern Conference football season is now in full swing, and this Saturday's schedule features an intriguing conference matchup as the Mississippi State Bulldogs face off against the 5th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. Historically, Georgia has dominated this rivalry, holding a commanding 20-6-0 record over Mississippi State. Adding to this advantage, the Bulldogs from Georgia are on a 4-game winning streak in the series, with their most recent victory being a decisive 45-19 win in Starkville in 2022. This game presents a challenge for sports bettors, as Mississippi State appears to be sinking to the bottom of the Southeastern Conference standings, especially with a freshman quarterback leading their offense. On the other hand, while Georgia hasn't been playing at its peak over the last couple of weeks, they are still a much stronger team compared to their opponents. Despite this, there's a possibility that Mississippi State won't get Georgia's undivided attention, as Georgia might be looking ahead to their high-stakes matchup against top-ranked Texas next week. Expect Georgia to emphasize their running game, especially against Mississippi State's porous run defense, which ranks 121st nationally. This strategy will likely limit the number of defensive snaps Georgia's defense has to play. Georgia enters this game as a heavy favorite, and while they are expected to win, their recent performances suggest some vulnerabilities. The Bulldogs only managed 13 points in a narrow 1-point win over Kentucky, followed by a loss to Alabama and a less than impressive showing against Auburn. As a result, Georgia will be aiming to put together a complete performance against an opponent they should have little trouble with. Mississippi State, on the other hand, has dropped 4 consecutive games but showed some improvement in their recent loss to Texas, and they are coming off a bye week. Though Georgia is clearly the superior team in this matchup, they have a challenging game against Texas looming next week, which could lead them to take their foot off the gas in the second half of this contest. Mississippi State currently occupies the lower rungs of the Southeastern Conference, and a blowout loss to Georgia would hardly come as a surprise. However, with Texas on deck, this game could serve as a win and move-on scenario for Georgia, where the goal might simply be to secure the victory without exerting unnecessary effort. Historically, Georgia has struggled to cover large spreads in these situations, going 1-11 to 1 against the spread in their last 13 games as a favorite of 20 or more points. With so many points on the line and Georgia possibly lacking motivation to dominate, the Mississippi State Bulldogs to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Georgia is expected to score quickly and consistently against a Mississippi State defense that ranks 132nd in creating havoc and has struggled to stop the run. The home team will likely build a solid lead in the first half, giving their starters a confidence boost before resting them for the upcoming showdown against Texas. However, Georgia's second-string players are still quite talented and will be eager to make an impression in one of their few opportunities to see significant playing time this season. Mississippi State should also find some success in the second half, as Georgia's starting defense has not been particularly effective at forcing turnovers this year, and their backups will likely see more time on the field. Given these factors, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Florida versus Tennessee. The matchup originally scheduled for the 3rd Saturday in September has been shifted to the 2nd Saturday in October as the Florida Gators and the number 8 Tennessee Volunteers prepare to reignite their rivalry this Saturday night. The Gators, with a record of 3-2 straight up and 1-1 in the Southeastern Conference, managed to secure a 24-13 victory against UCF, overcoming a sluggish second-half performance to achieve their second consecutive win. On the other hand, the 8th-ranked Volunteers, who stand at 4-1 straight up and 1-1 in the Southeastern Conference, faced a tough loss against Arkansas last weekend, falling 19-14 in a game that left them reeling. While much of the attention has been drawn to Vanderbilt's shocking upset over Alabama, Arkansas's triumph over Tennessee has flown somewhat under the radar. In their matchup, the Razorbacks outperformed the Volunteers, accumulating 431 total yards compared to Tennessee's 332. Additionally, Arkansas controlled the clock effectively, winning the time of possession battle by nearly 11 minutes. The Volunteers struggled to find their rhythm, committing 10 penalties and failing to establish a successful passing game. Quarterback Nico Iamaleava managed only 158 yards through the air, averaging a mere 5.4 yards per attempt, and faced relentless pressure throughout the game, suffering 4 sacks on 14 dropbacks. This marked the second consecutive week in which the freshman quarterback was taken down at least 3 times, a concerning trend given that the Florida defense has racked up 8 sacks over its last 2 games, presenting a formidable challenge for Tennessee. As the Volunteers return home to Knoxville for this critical matchup, many observers view it as an opportunity for a much-needed rebound. However, I harbor reservations about their prospects, especially with a looming showdown against Alabama next week. In fact, I believe this situation poses a potential sandwich game for the Volunteers as they face a Florida team that has not been the center of attention due to a couple of early season losses. Despite this, the Gators have been quietly impressive, currently ranking 26th in offensive points per attempt since Week 2, averaging over 5 points per trip into the opponent's 40-yard line during non-garbage time scenarios. On the defensive front, Florida has also excelled, allowing just 3 points per opposing scoring opportunity over the past 5 weeks. Tennessee may encounter significant resistance in this regard, particularly since the Volunteers have averaged fewer than 4 points per trip inside their opponent's 40-yard line since Week 2. In recent years, Florida has had the upper hand in this rivalry. The Gators have emerged victorious in 8 of their last 10 encounters with the Volunteers, successfully covering the spread in 7 of those contests. This trend includes the 2 most recent matchups, where Florida not only covered as the underdog but also secured a decisive 29-16 win last season. I anticipate that these positive trends will continue into this upcoming game. Tennessee's offense appears to have regressed now that conference play has intensified, while the Florida team has shown that it is more formidable than many might realize, particularly in the skill position categories. Although the Tennessee Volunteers are statistically the stronger team and have the potential to dominate if everything aligns perfectly, their performance against Arkansas raised concerns, especially as the offense has struggled in their last 2 games overall. Meanwhile, Florida is riding a wave of momentum after back-to-back victories, and their offense has shown signs of improvement. Historically, Florida has maintained a strong record against Tennessee over the last couple of decades, winning 8 of the last 10 meetings. Additionally, the underdog has covered the spread in 5 of the last 9 games played between these 2 teams, which adds to the case for Florida's success. While it may not be the most popular choice among bettors, I firmly believe that Florida will emerge victorious in this matchup. My confidence in Iamaleava has waned, especially after witnessing him struggle as a freshman in the last game. The Gators' defense has demonstrated its ability to rise to the occasion, and I expect them to perform exceptionally well here. Furthermore, I anticipate another strong showing from quarterback Graham Mertz against the Tennessee defense, which could prove to be the decisive factor in the outcome of this game. With a talented duo of receivers at their disposal, the Gators are well equipped to challenge the Tennessee defense vertically. This capability should keep them competitive throughout the game, at the very least. Therefore, the Florida Gators to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Throughout the years, this series has yielded a wide array of results, but it is relatively uncommon for the games not to produce a significant number of points. Last year's contest saw a total of 45 points scored, which is quite low compared to the typical outcomes of previous matchups. In fact, the last time these teams met in Knoxville, they combined for an astonishing total of 71 points. This season, the Volunteers boast one of the more potent offenses in the country, having had some explosive performances in their first 3 games. Therefore, the disappointing 14-point output against Arkansas in a painful loss will undoubtedly serve as motivation for them to ignite their offensive firepower. Conversely, Florida is generally stronger offensively than defensively. The Gators have managed to score 45 points in 2 different games this season, demonstrating their ability to put up big numbers, and they have consistently tallied at least 20 points in each of their last 4 outings. I am confident that they will do enough to contribute to a high-scoring game, which aligns with the trends we've observed. Both teams have seen the over hit in 3 of their 5 games this season, making over the projected total our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.